UFC middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis has gone and done a slew of interviews since UFC 308, and he is calling for the Khamzat Chimaev title fight. He wants his second title defense to be against the toughest challenger in the middleweight division, Khamzat Chimaev. And we're going to highlight a couple of these interviews. We're going to look at clips from all the interviews that he did. And also in these interviews, he absolutely humiliates Sean Strickland time and time again with nothing more than simply facts. And I am so glad to see this out of a champion. I highlighted this for Bilal Muhammad after he beat Leon Edwards at UFC 304, dropping him on his bald spot, back shots dead. And Dricus here in these interviews truly encapsulates what we want to be a UFC champion. He's not ducking and dodging and saying he doesn't want to fight this guy, he doesn't want to fight that guy. He's looking, who can make my legacy the best because I want to beat that guy? Who was the toughest challenge in the division because I want to beat that guy? And Khamzat Chimaev went out there and ragdolled Robert Whittaker and finished him in the first round. And guess what? Du Plessis could have said, oh yeah, I owe Strickland a rematch. Dana said Strickland's getting a rematch. I'm going to fight Strickland. But instead, he's lobbying for the Khamzat Chimaev fight. I absolutely love it. Let's jump right into it. I went and looked at this channel. So I found a post-fight reaction from Dricus. And it was on a channel called Radio Raps. I don't know if this is his friend or something, because it's like him and his brother and another guy who has a South African accent. And before we get into the post-fight thoughts, I went back and wanted to see what his prediction was. And I was shocked to see what Dricus was saying before the fight. He picked Robert Whittaker, but listen to what he says here. Listen, I absolutely love this, and this is exactly what I want in a UFC champion. Listen to this.
Either way, I mean, it's the UFC, they make the fights, I don't care. Whoever gets in there, I'll just beat them. So it doesn't matter to me in that case. But I have fought him before. What I would love is to fight Khamzat and be the first guy to beat him.
Okay, but I'm a fan. I respect that. I just don't think.
The one is with my heart, and the other one is me as an athlete and thinking about my career, that I would love to be the first guy to beat Khamzat. And I know I can beat Khamzat.
That is the attitude we want from a UFC champion. What he's saying here is, I think Whittaker's going to win, and he says he likes Whittaker, so it's kind of like a lot of fighters make biased picks. So he was picking Whittaker, but he was saying, yeah, I hope Khamzat wins. I want to fight that guy undefeated. I want to take his L. How can anyone even hate on that? I absolutely love that. And that's prior to the fight. And you know what's funny? The guys sitting at the table, they're like, oh, I don't know about that. But I don't know, maybe they're just questioning, why he would want Khamzat to beat Whittaker, because Whittaker's an extremely likable fighter. But then we get into, after UFC 308, we see what Khamzat Chimaev was able to do to Robert Whittaker. And man, I'll do it again. Look right here, this isn't smart water, okay? This is a bottle that I filled up with Khamzat Chimaev's haters' tears. And I'm just going to take a quick drink. Because all those haters, all those horrible, stupid narratives heading into that fight, and they were preying on his downfall, and he went out there and ragdolled and finished Robert Whittaker, a former middleweight champion. And let's see, did Dricus Du Plessis change his mind afterwards? Oh no, look what he did to Whittaker. I don't want to fight him now. He's the boogeyman of the division. Let's hear. I doubt it, right? Let's listen.
I think the whole fight was, we always knew that if between Rob and Khamzat, if there was going to be something exceptional that happens, there might be a change in the title fight. We have no clarity on that, but...
So he hasn't heard anything official. I've been telling you guys for months. If Khamzat put on the performance that I thought he would against Robert Whittaker, he will jump over Sean Strickland. And I say jump over, and I put it in quotes because really, Khamzat is more deserving. Dricus calls that out later in some of the other interviews, maybe even mentions it here in a second. But I absolutely love this from Dricus. I absolutely love this. He wants the toughest guy in the division.
As a fan of the sport and as the middleweight champion of the world, that's a fight that gets me more excited. Taking somebody's I've beaten Strickland before, and I know I'll beat him again. So, getting that Khamzat fight, that gets me excited. I think the whole world, the fans wants to see it. The fans are ultimately paid to watch the fights. So the fight the world thinks is the best next fight, that's what I want. So, yeah, I think the Khamzat fight is 100% what I want. The UFC is going to do what they're going to do. But, from a fan perspective and from a fighter's perspective, I think Khamzat should get the next shot.
Awesome.
I can't express to you guys truly, because it's going to sound hyperbolic. I can't express to you how refreshing and the music to my ears it is hearing a champion saying, look, I want to fight against the rightful #1 contender. I want to fight against the toughest guy. And that also happens to be the guy that everyone wants to see me fight. I'll fight whoever, but that's the guy I want. I want the guy that's the boogeyman of the division. I've told you guys for months now. And there's a little bit of a wrench thrown in the plan now because 310 is available. And a lot of people are saying maybe they could do Du Plessis versus Strickland. I don't think Du Plessis is going to take that on short notice. I don't think the UFC would throw away DDP versus Chimaev to get a main event for 310 because Bilal Muhammad's out versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, which is absolutely horrible. I'll make another video about that later on. Hopefully we get some more information. But I love hearing this from Dricus Du Plessis. Absolutely love it. Let's jump ahead to the ESPN interview. Look, I'm really getting sick and tired of Brett Okamoto's camera quality. I know I mention it every single time. I mean, this dude works for a multi-million-dollar company. It looks a little bit improved. It looks a little bit improved. I mean, I feel like I'm watching it on like a little bit higher quality VHS. And I know people say, well, why didn't you mention the fighter's quality? I mean, who knows what Dricus is on? He's not paid a paid media member, okay? He's a fighter. So I'm not going to criticize his camera quality as much, even though it is horrible. But in the first question I'm going to show you, he's asked, like, what about the next title fight? Will it be Strickland? You know, what's going on? Listen to Dricus' answer here.
But there was a very big reason no contract's been signed. And I'm saying this as an opinion. I agreed. I said, I'll fight Strickland. Perfect. And that's the fight the fans want. But if you go on what the fans want right now, it's definitely not the Strickland fight. And if you ask me, what do I want? I want to fight the best guy. I want to fight the guy the fans want me to fight.
I love it. I mean, who would rather see Strickland get a rematch than watch Khamzat DDP? You show me the person who says that, I'll show you somebody who is mentally ill. I'll show you someone who is pathetic as well. Because you're either mentally ill or you're a huge Strickland fan, okay? Which may be one and the same, to be quite honest. Who wants to see Strickland jab and teep his way against DDP when we get Khamzat versus DDP, which is a much better fight? But let's carry on.
And that 100% is Khamzat. You know, if they give me the Strickland fight, great. I'll fight Strickland in February or March or whenever, and then fight Khamzat. But, you know, with the hype right now and what the fans are feeling, and at the end of the day, they are the people that need to be entertained.
And by the way, here in a second, he says, I'll fight Chimaev anywhere. I'll fight him in Abu Dhabi. I'll fight him in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if he specifically mentions those places. But he said, look, I'll fight him anywhere. I'll fight him in his hometown. I'll fight him any date, which I absolutely love. You'll hear it in a second.
And if you go on value for the UFC, and if you ask me personally, the Khamzat fight's what I want. I want to take his I want to beat the next best guy. And I've beaten Sean Strickland. You know, everybody can have their opinion on how close the fight was. Yeah, it was close. But there's not a doubt in my mind if I won that fight or lost that fight.
Yeah, because Strickland just backed up the entire time and pumped the jab. Like, that fight was close, but the reason Dricus won it is because he pressed forward. Meanwhile, Strickland refused to fight because that's all he does is talk about going to war, and then jabs and teeps the entire fight.
And the win is on my record. I've been in there with him. And what excites me right now is getting in there and beating Khamzat Chimaev. That would be first prize. That's what I want. And, you know, wherever he wants to do it. You know, I know he has some traveling issues. I don't know the extent of those issues, but, you know, I'll fly wherever I need to get that fight. And I'll fight him in.
He'll go anywhere to fight the best guy in the division. Compare and contrast. I did a video a couple days ago. I'll link it down in the description about Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev is next. Compare and contrast that with Sean Strickland, who ducked Robert Whittaker. I ain't fighting Robert Whittaker. I'm waiting for my title shot. I've earned my title shot. I beat Paulo Costa. Compare and contrast. This is the champion. Meanwhile, you have Strickland saying, I was headbutted, when he wasn't. He was not headbutted. It was not a head clash that caused that cut. I was robbed by the liberal judges. I beat Paulo Costa. I've earned my shot. I'm going to sit out and wait. Also, let's not forget, I'm not going to South Africa. They're racist. I don't want to go to Canada. They're liberal. I don't want to go here. I want to fight only in America. You could dare I say he's demanding a location. You know, some people said that about Magomed Ankalaev. And you have DDP, the champion, defended his belt once so far against Israel Adesanya. Sean Strickland never defended his belt. Got a finish against Israel Adesanya. And now he's saying, look, I'll go anywhere to fight Khamzat. I want that fight. That's the fight the fans want to see. And he's smart. He's smart because at the end of the day, if he believes he can win, Why wouldn't he want that fight? It's going to get him the biggest paycheck. It's going to give him the most amount of hype. So why wouldn't he want that fight? But I just love to see it, man, because there's too many duckers in the UFC nowadays.
He's in his hometown. I don't know where he resides currently, but I'll go there and we can fight there. That's the fight the fans want to see. And, for my legacy, that's the fight I want.
Love it. Absolutely love it from Dricus Du Plessis. He'll fight him in Abu Dhabi. He'll fight him in Saudi Arabia. He'll fight him in Australia. He'll fight him in the United States. He'll fight him in Canada. He'll fight him in Brazil. He'll fight him in Antarctica. He'll fight him on the moon. You think Sean Strickland would say the same? You think if they offered him Khamzat Chimaev right now, he wouldn't run for the hills and probably go cry on a Theo Von podcast? If he sees these clips, he's going to start crying. I'm not even going to go through his Twitter. I thought about doing it in this video. I'm not even going to go through his Twitter. I'm tired of listening to him cry. He's crying like a little bitch left and right and acts like he's a badass 24/7. Let's carry on. We got a couple more clips to look at from the ESPN interview. Before we get into the TMZ interview, where not only does he say similar things, he absolutely trashes Strickland in the TMZ interview. Let's carry on. He talks about, again, who is the most threatening guy in the division, who's the baddest guy in the division outside of him. That's who he wants to fight.
For me, it's only about one thing, and it is who is the next best guy, the baddest guy out there. That's the guy I want to fight. So right now, people are, thinking that Khamzat is the next best guy, but there's only one best guy, and that's me. So I want to prove that once again. And obviously, if you look at the amount of people that's going to watch a fight, there's more people that are going to want to watch me versus Khamzat and me versus Strickland.
Yeah, because Strickland doesn't even have real fans. There's a lot of people who are attracted to Strickland because he's kind of like a right-wing grifter vibe to him. But those people aren't even buying fights. You have fight fans who definitely do buy because of Strickland. They like the way he talks. But nobody actually likes to watch Strickland fight. People like to watch DDP fight. People like to watch Khamzat Chimaev fight. Even the Khamzat Chimaev haters who were pissed that he beat Robert Whittaker prefer to see Chimaev versus DDP because it's the best fight you can make right now.
And at the end of the day, that's the only determining factor, is the guy that the people want to see. Because at the end of the day, they buy the tickets, they buy the pay-per-views, and they are the people we need to entertain.
Facts. Couldn't have said it better myself, DDP. Last clip. Actually, we got two more clips to look at from the ESPN interview. Here's where he really starts kind of going at Strickland a little bit. When Strickland heard this, he definitely called up Theo Von and probably cried over the phone. Listen to this.
Sean Strickland beat Paulo Costa in a very boring fight. Robert Whittaker went out there with an amazing performance against Paulo Costa, got rocked, came back, made it look easy, took a fight against Khamzat, then got a change in opponent fight week, made it look easy. So that automatically puts him above Strickland in my mind.
Forgot to mention that Strickland ducked Whittaker. Whittaker was on a 2-fight winning streak going into the Khamzat Chimaev fight.
And a rematch against Strickland also didn't really get me that excited. I knew how to beat him and I would do it again. So Khamzat comes out there, puts on. So if Khamzat beat Whittaker by decision, that wouldn't warrant him leapfrogging Sean Strickland. But doing what he did, the way he did it, it's hard to deny the man that he deserves the shot. And for me personally, once again, he is right now, because before that, like you said, he hasn't beaten the top of the division, but now he has.
Facts. Now he has. Strickland didn't even deserve the title shot against Israel Adesanya. He beat Abus Magomedov. And now he wants a title shot off a beaten Paulo Costa in a boring decision. Paulo Costa doesn't have a win against a fighter who's currently on the UFC roster. What a joke.
Sean Strickland hasn't beaten Robert Whittaker. Khamzat has. And Whittaker has been at the top of that division for very, very long. He's only been beaten by myself and Israel Adesanya. So, yeah, that warrants me, in my mind, warrants me a shot at the belt.
He's saying it warrants, the way he said it was kind of confusing. That warrants Khamzat Chimaev a shot at the belt. Yeah, if you run through Robert Whittaker, it warrants a shot at the belt. And not to mention he has the win over Kamaru Usman on short notice, which I think is highly underrated. I've been saying that for months, if not a year at this point, basically. People underrated that win. I understand Usman came in on short notice, but Usman's still one of the pound-for-pound best at the time. And what he did to him was super impressive, regardless of what anyone says. Last clip we're going to look at from this interview is kind of DDP's mindset. He may never fight Strickland again. If he beats Khamzat, he may never fight Strickland again. Listen to this.
And this is just me spitballing. I beat Robert Whittaker, then I beat Sean Strickland, then I beat Israel Adesanya, then I beat Khamzat Chimaev. That warrants a double title fight.
I want to sit here and say I disagree with you disagree with him because I want to see Dricus stay in the middleweight division. He's not wrong. That's a hell of a resume. Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, Khamzat Chimaev. that 4-fight win streak puts him up there like towards the middleweight GOAT discussion. As crazy as that sounds, and as unlikely as that sounds, a year ago. Yeah, that it does kind of warrant it.
And I think that might just be it.
So he's saying he might beat Khamzat Chimaev. He might want a shot at 205. And we know Dricus is massive for the middleweight division. So I don't blame him. And he's calling for the toughest test. How is the UFC going to turn him down and say, look, I want to go up to 205 and fight for a second belt if I beat Khamzat Chimaev? I love it from Dricus. Let's jump into the TMZ interview. TMZ interview was probably the best of the 3 interviews. I'll link all these videos down in the description. There's the two initial, kind of like podcast type things. And then there was the ESPN interview and now this TMZ interview. I'll link it all down below if you want to go check it out. Also, I highly encourage you to go check out my video from the other day. I covered this. I said for a while, I thought that Khamzat would jump over Sean Strickland. But in this interview, he absolutely demolishes and exposes Sean Strickland and humiliates him. Listen to this. He starts off right away. This is the very beginning of the interview.
I completely welcome the Strickland rematch. I would have, loved that to, get that finish because, for Sean, he needs a win back. I need a finish. For him, he doesn't mind to fight boring fights like most of his fights. That's why he has, 7 or 8 split decision wins.
Let's rewind that real quick.
For Sean, he needs a win back. I need a finish. For him, he doesn't mind to fight boring fights like most of his fights.
He doesn't mind to fight boring fights like most of his fights. He's never been in an exciting fight in his entire career. That's just a fact. You could say the Adesanya fight was exciting. It really wasn't. It was a boring fight other than the first round. It was just unexpected, so people hyped it up. Dricus is never in a boring fight. Khamzat's never in a boring fight. So good on Dricus for calling him out.
That's why he has, 7 or 8 split decision wins. For me, I go out there and I want to fight a guy that comes out there to throw down, not say that he's going to and then jab for 5 rounds.
Yeah, Strickland's got nothing but split decisions. I want to fight a guy who's going to go out there and actually go to war, not jab for 5 rounds and says he's going to war. Dricus is one of the best trash talkers in the UFC, but he's not even trash talking here. He's truth talking. These are all facts. He's basically saying what he's saying here is Sean Strickland is a soy boy, beta male, pussy bitch. And I'd rather fight Khamzat because that does more for my legacy. That does more for me in the eyes of the fans. I'd rather fight a guy who's willing to go to war, not Strickland who claims he's willing to go to war and doesn't really want to. I mean, Dricus embarrassed Strickland so badly that he went and cried on a podcast. And then he publicly threatened Dricus, don't you trash talk me again. And privately, while he's threatening Dricus publicly, he's messaging Dricus and apologizing to him. A lot of people don't know this. I covered this in a video earlier this year. Go check it out. Search it on my channel. He apologized to Dricus in DMs and begged for forgiveness. Said, please don't ever talk about me again. Please, I'll do anything. I'll get on my hands and knees. I'll do anything, please. And Dricus said, okay. But the only reason Dricus ever talked about it was because Sean was acting like it was the public threats that got him to stop talking trash. So Dricus acknowledged that because he has a brain, he has some critical thinking skills. He realized what Strickland was trying to do and exposed him badly for a hypocrite. And now he's exposing him and talking about facts here. Split decision merchant, jab and teep left and right, claim he's going to war, claim he's going to bleed for you guys, but never does, unless you're an influencer. If Dricus becomes a social media influencer and stops training, then maybe Strickland will go to war, and even then he won't drop him. But let's carry on.
But once again, in our fight, myself and Sean, it was a close fight, but there was no doubt in my mind that I won that fight. But I said, if Whittaker comes out there and does something amazing, like get an early finish or, outfight Khamzat, he's definitely going to jump the gun because he deserves it. That's 3 wins in a row against top guys. And Strickland just beat Paulo Costa in a very boring fight once again after our fight. Whether it was close or not, it's still a loss.
Facts. He lost. You don't get to say, well, he had a close fight with Dricus, so he deserves a rematch. What? Then we're just giving everyone rematches now. He never defended his belt. He didn't have any legacy. He didn't have any tenure as a middleweight champion. And then he beats Paulo Costa by boring-ass split decision. And we're going to give him a title fight. Good on Dricus for pointing this out, too. Because it's all facts. It's all facts.
And then, of course, I also thought, Khamzat, they've hyped up this guy for so long, but he's not come to fruition. He hasn't lost, but with the fight cancellations, him being sick, and sometimes that's out of our control. But he went in there, was the first guy to ever submit Rob, and he did in the first round. And that warrants a jump the gun on Sean Strickland for me.
He destroyed the guy that Sean Strickland brutally ducked. Destroyed him.
And if you ask me personally, that's a fight I would rather want. Because it's a fight that the people want. It's a fight that more fans want. And I believe Khamzat is the next best guy.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Khamzat Chimaev would absolutely destroy Sean Strickland. Strickland would never even accept that fight. He's ducked that fight multiple times already. He's been offered it multiple times. He's ducked it. You think if Strickland was offered Chimaev right now for a number one contender fight, he would take it? No, he wouldn't. He said, no, I'm waiting for my title shot. I beat Costa. I paid my dues. Don't make me go cry on a podcast. Let's jump ahead. A couple more clips from this interview. This was a short interview. The next clip, he's just saying, look, this is a huge fight. This is what the fans want. It's kind of a little bit more of the same here, but it's just, I'm so happy to see a guy pushing for the toughest challenge in the division. It's so refreshing. You know, Bilal did the same. Unfortunately, he's out now against Shavkat, which is so unfortunate. We'll talk about that a little bit towards the end of this video, but let's listen to this some more.
You look at a card and you look at the fights, and that's what makes an event big. Yeah. So, if myself and Khamzat, that's going to be a big event. No matter where it is, when it is, it's going to be a big one.
Facts. And you know what's funny here? And you can tell this, I believe, in the next clip as well. You can see Dricus excited, almost fantasizing about the magnitude of that matchup. He's not scared at all. He's not scared at all. He wants that fight. He welcomes that fight. He could easily be saying, oh, well, Strickland, it was a close fight. I want to get that back, and I want to leave no doubt. He could easily pivot to a Strickland fight over Chimaev. But instead, he's campaigning for the toughest matchup. I love it. 2 more clips we're going to check out. Let's jump ahead. Again, this next clip is literally, you can see a similar thing from DDP. He's literally fantasizing about the Khamzat matchup. I love this from a champion.
Do this, where does it make the most sense? When do you do it? Because I don't want to sit out for too long. But yeah, I at this stage, I don't have anything concrete that I can give you. But whatever it is, I hope it comes up next.
Look, he's literally thinking about the matchup and so excited to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Imagine if Strickland was offered Chimaev right now. I hate to make this joke again. He'd be crying on a podcast. I'm not fighting him. He did a crypto scam. He lives in Chechnya. He's friends with a warlord. They're racist in South Africa. Dricus is racist. That's what Sean Strickland would be saying. He'd make up every excuse in the book. He'd try to figure out a way to get his little cult following to push just dumb narratives. Last clip we're going to take a look at, he bodies Strickland again. They ask him for a message for Strickland and Khamzat. I believe that was the question. Let's listen.
What's your message to Sean Strickland?
Yeah, man. Finish your fights.
That's good. Like, short and sweet.
Yeah, let's rewind that one more time. I think he talks about Chimaev too here in a second. What's your message to Strickland? Yeah, finish your fights. Maybe you would have gotten a title shot, but you're a boring decision merchant who lies about going to war every single fight. You know what Sean Strickland's entire UFC career is encapsulated by? Israel Adesanya's Undertaker walkout against Jarrett Cannonier. That is a microcosm of what Sean Strickland's entire UFC career has been. Undertaker walkout and then a shit fight.
What's your message to Sean Strickland?
Yeah, man. Finish your fights.
That's good. Like, short and sweet. And finally, to the guy that you likely end up fighting here, and what's, like we said, it's going to be a massive, massive fight. What do you say to Khamzat Chimaev today?
Now, whether it be Strickland or Khamzat Chimaev, it's Strickland. I have felt everything you can give. And I promise you, this time, the judges won't need to be there. If it's Khamzat, you think you're strong, you think you're powerful, you have not felt anything. And I can't wait till I see it on his face, because I see it on every single person I fight's face. When they realize, oh, shit. That's the message.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Great interviews from Dricus Du Plessis. Campaigning for the Khamzat Chimaev fight. And Khamzat does deserve it, truly. Now, the only thing that could throw a wrench into these plans, I believe the UFC is targeting Du Plessis versus Chimaev for the middleweight title. 310 main event just opened up. It's 5 weeks away. Now, if you notice, Dricus was looking kind of big in those videos. You know, he wasn't looking, you know, in the greatest of shape. So my guess is he's not even remotely ready for a camp. So I'm hoping 310 doesn't end up being Du Plessis versus Strickland. But if it is, I won't be heartbroken, because at least we can get it out of the way. And I also don't think Dricus is going to take a fight on short notice. He's turned down Adesanya, I think, twice for short notice fights. He's not dumb enough to take a short notice fight. So I don't think that's going to happen. It could happen. I'm devastated that Bilal versus Shavkat is no longer happening. Right now, I'd say the leader for the main event for 310 is probably Alex Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev. We'll see if that happens. That's going to be crazy if it does happen. But I will cover that as we get more details. But guys, let me know, how refreshing is it to see a champion campaigning for the toughest possible matchup? I absolutely love it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.